Yes, thank you all for your support and for your attention. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Joe so he can enlighten us on the laws of abundance and circulation.
All right. Thank you, guys. So the past few weeks, we've been covering the first few chapters of our textbook. And if you remember, the first week we talked about the thing itself and the commitment that the thing itself has to us to make us vitally happy and live harmoniously, be healthy. All its commitment is to us, and how our center is committed to providing that as well. The second week, we had the thing itself, that we had the way it works last week. Remember the way it works? Right? It works by us and through us. Do you remember that? Thank you. Just let me know you're there. Okay, that's all it is. Today we're going to talk about what it does. Now, it's kind of the way it works and what it does sounds a little bit similar, but it's really not. So we're going to talk about the way it does and living in abundance. The first thing I want to talk about, though, with abundance is its opposite, because there's the thing called the poverty consciousness. So the word poverty usually conveys to our minds the idea of a money shortage, but actually the word means the lack of anything good. Okay? It's not just poverty when it comes to money. There's a poverty consciousness because usually a poverty consciousness rolls into more than one part of your life. So if you're broke, you're usually lonely and broke. And you don't feel good. Your health is poor, and your creative expression. Now what do I do? Does that make sense? So poverty it's not just a financial thing. It rolls into all things. Poverty is the very antithesis of abundance, and abundance of good is necessary to human happiness. It's only as we experience good that God is expressed through us. The more completely we realize good in all of its expressions, meaning health, wealth, and happiness, and relationships and creativity, the more completely we express God. That is, the more God becomes personified through us. So, here we go. What does it do? Say that for me. What does it do? I allowed William to give us our affirmation for the day. Brace yourself. Do it, William.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Give somebody a little bit of power and what do they do, right? Who is your daddy and what does he do? How are we going to make that into an affirmation? Let's just say, well, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy and what does he do? All right. This is what it does. All right? This is what it does. Meaning the universe, God, Spirit, Lord, call it whatever you want to call it. All right? So when you see the word it, I want you to put whatever label you have for God in its place. Are we good? All right, so it changes lives. It changes them drastically and dramatically. Funny thing is, you could also put the word our center does the same thing. Our center changes lives, some dramatically and drastically. And you know because your lives have changed as a result of it. So not only does it do what it does, we do what it does, and guess what? You're doing what it does. See the trickle down? Yeah. All right? You will experience an abundance of whatever it is. Now, usually people experience an abundance of whatever the predominant thought is of their mind. Remember, we've been discussing that. So whatever thought dominates your mind, you have an abundance of those things in your life. So you can have an abundance of negativity. No, who wants that? You can also have an abundance of good things. So it provides for us whatever we're feeding it, and it multiplies it, pressed down and flowing over. So if your life is perfect, you must be feeding it correctly. Yay! If it's not, I can tell you that chances are pretty good somewhere along the line, you're feeding it something you really don't want to experience in your life. Okay? Back to it. It eliminates the unwanted elements from life, producing ever-increasing good. It picks us up and turns us around to face toward the light in our good and provides confidence and strength for the journey of life. So think about this in different ways. It turns us away from darkness. Darkness in what? Darkness in our health, darkness in our wealth, darkness in our creative expression, darkness in our relationships, and it directs us into the light. Why? Because there's always a divine urge to be in the light. There's never a divine urge to move into darkness. There's always a divine urge within us to move into the light, especially as it pertains to the four pillars. Now, interestingly enough, you can say the same. You could replace the center with the word "it" again. We help you learn how to eliminate those unwanted situations, producing ever-increasing good. We help pick you up and turn you into the light. How many times have you walked into this center and you have felt down about something in your life? Anyone? If you have, say amen. Amen. And when you left, if you felt good, say amen. Amen. All right, so what did we do? We had to take and transform that energy that you had coming in, and we had to teach you how to turn it into the light. And see the light again. And now guess what? When you leave here, you become the light extended. Are you with me? Yes. Okay, we'll keep going. Really? You sure? Yes. Okay, good. Thank you. Back again. It gives a reason and a purpose for every living and adds zest to every experience, brings new dimensions of dignity to the human scene, and provides us with an inner assurance and confidence and authority. It does that. The universe does that. It promises that it will give us a reason and purpose for things that we think have no reason and no purpose in our life. Especially when we're in the middle of them, we question why they're there. How am I ever going to see the good in this? Has anyone ever asked themselves that question? Yeah, where is the good in this? There's got to be a pony in here somewhere, right? There's got to be the pony in here somewhere. But it gives us that direction. It gives us that purpose. Again, change the word "it" to the word "the center." The center, when you come in, you begin to see, wow, wait a minute. This is how I created this. And maybe this is the reason that I'm moving through it to take me to something else. And then you take that knowledge out into the world and you share it with other people. Are you following my line here? Okay.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
There we go. Back in again. Back up one more. My bad. It. Back to the word "it." All right? Label it whatever you want it to be. It eliminates greed, selfishness, and hypocrisy, hatred, fear, and frustration, and puts one at peace with God, others, and ourselves. Wait, what? Is it doing its job now? When you look at what's going on in the world, is it doing its job now? When you look at the things that are happening, this is no mystery. When you look at social media, when you look at the news, do you feel like it is doing its job now? No. People are going, not really, because things are uncomfortable. So guess what it's doing? It's showing us what uncomfortable looks like. It's surfacing us and our discomfort to show us that there is something else that needs to be done. It's not for us to join in the discomfort. It's us to recognize it, see it for what it is, realize that none of those things, selfishness, greed, hatred, hypocrisy, fear, none of them have a spiritual foundation in the universe. Those things are all man, woman made and interpreted by the mind. Are we good? Yes. Because of that, we know that it can eliminate all of those things when we teach ourselves how to view things properly and then change them through the power of mind. All right? So to me, I have to go, there has to be a reason for Crazy Town. When I'm living in Crazy Town, does anyone have a residence in their head called Crazy Town? Yeah. Okay, I have this like subdivision in my head. It's called Crazy Town. And usually when I'm there, my husband, everybody knows, uh-oh, he's in Crazy Town. Because my head starts to spin, I say things that are totally inappropriate, not spiritual at all, and I just start living from Crazy Town. People don't want to talk to me when I'm living in Crazy Town. Anybody have a Crazy Town? Anybody married to someone with a Crazy Town? Oh, see, you recognize, oh my God, that's brilliant. You recognize Crazy Town in someone else, but when it comes to you, you're like, no, I don't have that, I'm perfectly normal. He's the one that has Crazy Town, I'm great, right? The reason I go into Crazy Town is I forget to remember why things are happening the way they're happening. Things are happening in my life and in your life to wake us up to what should be or could be, not necessarily to what is. Are you with me? Yes. All right? By all of this, it eliminates from our consciousness and from our experience poverty, illness, and happiness. So through all of this, it lets us see that the problems of life are like the dark side of the moon, needing only the light of truth, the truth of God within us to dissolve those appearances into nothingness. I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I'm in Crazy Town sometimes kicks in about 3 a.m. and has an alarm. Crazy Town has an alarm, and it wakes me up. Anybody have Crazy Town alarm? Yeah, okay. It wakes me up, and when it wakes me up, I'm going to Crazy Town, and I think all of these things in my mind that could happen that would really suck. Anybody have a Crazy Town? All right, anybody with me? Crazy Town's got a lot of residents, man. We should sign you up. It's times like that when I look back in retrospect and I go, you know what? I spent a lot of time in Crazy Town driving myself crazy over something that never ended up happening. The amount of energy I spent in Crazy Town looking at things going, oh my God, but what if this? And then, oh my God, but what if that? And oh my God, and what if this? Anybody got that going on? And then what if he says this? And what if they do this? And what if my job does this? And oh my God, what if, you're like this all the time, right? And then you wake up the next day and like 3 months later, none of it happened. But boy, I tell you what, that day in Crazy Town took its toll on you. You woke up tired and cranky and you were worried about things all day long that never transpired. Because that's why faith dissolves all of that thing into the nothingness in which it came up. It has no spiritual basis, all fear-driven, and all driven on my mind. Are you good? Yes. All right. And then that inner light can shine on our pathway more and more into that perfect day when sorrow and sighing shall move out and bring us finally that total awareness of our at-one-ment with God and life. That's what it does. It drives us crazy to the point where we realize we drive ourselves crazy, and then once we start applying these spiritual principles, we realize that we really are one with this intelligence, this abundance, this health, these positive, loving relationships, that they're all our divine birthright, and we move in with that idea. So we move out of Crazy Town into Craving Town. Craving Town. Anybody have Craving Town? Craving Town is this. Last week, we asked you to fill out your Craving Town. This is what I see my life becoming. We're going to review those next week. I hope you did them. Spirituality is not for the people who just sit and observe. They actually take action. That's why these were on all your seats. We have extras for those of you who blew off the exercise and threw it away. So there's extras in the lobby. We want you to grab that, prepare, have all 4 areas written down because that's what the universe is craving by means of you. And you wouldn't put down here struggle, strife, fear, lack, limitation as a craving, would you? Does anybody crave lack or limitation? Does anybody crave negative relationships? Well, I know a few people, but at least I think they do because that's all they generate. But that's, again, maybe what they do. Okay, so this is Craving Town. So what it does, we do here at the center. We teach you how to do it, and then you take it out into your world and create more of it by means of you. Does this make sense? But if you can't define those cravings, those longings, those urgings, you will reside in Crazy Town and live a life that seems substandard because you've never given it direction on what you really want. When someone says, "What do you want?" you go, "I don't know. I don't know." It's like at a restaurant when someone says, "What do you want to order?" and they go, "What are you going to order?" like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do that. You're waiting for someone else to order. Your relationships, your financial security, your abundance, your creativity, what you do. If you're bored every day, then again, you're boring, and why is that the case? You have to change that.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
There you go. All right. So how do we do this? How do we do this, and what do we teach here at the center? We just get ourselves lined up. Now, it says just. We just get ourselves lined up. Now, that makes it sound real casual, doesn't it? Well, you just get it lined up. It sounds really easy. No, it's really not. And the reason I say it's really not is because it requires us to do more than we do just on a Sunday for 30 minutes or an hour. It requires us to begin learning how to pray, to begin to meditate. I mean, we've got 2 meditation classes going on right now. Sue Powell has one. I think it's already closed, though, right? It's already closed, but she'll offer it again. But then we have meditation classes every Saturday here at the center. So you can't say, "I don't know how to." Well, maybe you can. But then you can't say, "I don't know where to get this information," because it's here. That's what we teach you to do, right? All right, so prayer, meditation, affirmations, correct thinking according to the truth so that we can receive this infinite intelligence into our life experiences. So it's about opening the door to your receptivity to a different message other than Crazy Town. It's about living in Craving Town, not Crazy Town. Things that you yearn for, things that you desire, things that you want to see happen in your life and in the lives of others. It's that yearning. I'd rather live there than live in the Crazy Town of effects that have already transpired because of the thinking that brought them into my experience. Wow. No, I can't repeat that. If I could, I would, but I can't. We'll just have to hit rewind on the tape someplace. I don't even know what I just said. What I just said. That's kind of fun when you channel that stuff. But then you forget what you said. It was profound, though, yeah? Put it in my book. Okay. Here we go. We're going to move into a different place now. We download God into our operating system. Right, so I had one of those weeks where my Wi-Fi went out, where I couldn't get my signal into the house. So I couldn't open my garage door on my phone. And I am not tech savvy at all, right? So I spent like hours on the phone with IT. Throw it into the pool. And you want to go, "Forget it, I'll start over again. I don't even want to, yeah. Crazy Town, right? I moved into Crazy Town on technology this week, right? So when I was writing this, I thought, how about downloading the God system? Like a really good, you know how we have security systems on our computer to keep us from getting viruses and those infiltrated or whatever they call that, when someone can steal all your stuff? We download those programs. What if we downloaded a God program? Right? And then everything had to run through the God program before it came out of our mouth, to the degree that we become able to use the program. That's my problem. I can download all kinds of things on my computer. I just found out yesterday over dinner that my iPhone, if you tap the bottom of it 3 times, it becomes a magnifying glass. Did you know that? 2 people do this. See? You go, and now the rest of you are going, holy crap, how do you do that? This is my point. It's in like 84 font. You've had the power in your hands the whole time, but guess what? You didn't know how to use it. So you come here and we teach you how to use that power. Go to General, go to Settings, Accessibility, hit Magnifier on. Remember that. General, Settings, Accessibility, Magnifier on. Tap 3 times and I am at the Nest. The menu's that big. All right. Thank you for those of you who go to the Nest and know that they've got 19 success in the area of our lives. The more you know how to use the program, the greater the success. Now, if we have the belief, however hidden from our awareness it may be, that we are inadequate, undeserving, not good enough in some way, then divine intelligence cannot express that. Why? Not because it's not ready, willing, and able, but because our receiving dock is not open. Think of the universe as the big Amazon truck full of good. And you see that big Amazon truck that has to pull up to the warehouse to be offloaded, and you're the warehouse, right? And you hear the truck go beep, 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 and it backs right up to, and you're like, why is it not open?
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Okay. So say this to yourself. And you're silently to yourself. I want something. I want this. I want a healthy relationship. I want financial security. I want health. I want a new job. I want to feel like I have a purpose in my life, right? And then the universe wheels up this big, huge cargo truck filled with that, and our receiving dock is closed. Why is that? Maybe because maybe we don't believe we can have it. We don't believe we can keep it. We don't believe we deserve it. Or, my favorite, we screwed it up so many times that we're afraid to even try. Okay? If you've ever had any of those feelings, it closes the door to the dock so you can't receive the universe and what it wants to bring in. Does that make sense? Yes. It's like the little phone that has all these little things in it. We just don't know how to use it because we're afraid, or we say to ourselves, I'm too old to learn that stuff. I just need it for the basic stuff. I can't learn that stuff, right? We tell ourselves we're not capable of it, so what do? The dock closes. I don't care whether it's your iPhone or your financial security or your relationships, the dock gets closed because of our consciousness, all right? We live in a world of universal jello. Think of it. Try to manage jello without a mold. Anybody? I mean, right? Think about jello. The more concentrated the jello is, the firmer it gets, right? The easier it is to mold. But it still has to go into a mold. So your consciousness casts the mold for the universal jello to be put in to create your experience. So you live in a world of universal jello that's waiting for you to move out of crazy town into craving town so that you can cast the mold for universal jello. Now, have you ever heard of my buddies right here, Judy, and have you ever in your many years heard jello as just trying to see? You got to spin it a new way.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
All right. Here's what I want you to do. Picture yourself being congratulated for a job well done, being told how much you are appreciated and valued, and you can see others becoming calm and centered no matter what is going around us. See yourself having done what it is the craving is asking you to do. And see somebody going, great job, you did it. Great job, you did it. When I visit people in the hospital, do you know the one thing I talk to them about? Isn't their condition. That's obvious. They're there. I'm like, do you see yourself on the other side of this? What does it look like on the other side? Because you tell me if you can't see yourself, that I need to talk to you about how to get you on the other side of this illness, how to see yourself, moving, having your being, talking to people, going back, and then let the universe catch up to your consciousness to create it for you. Are you ready? Have you heard about the ship captain that was sailing at night toward the light of a vessel up ahead? So there's this ship captain who's sailing toward a light, right? And he radios to that light, and he says, radios to the person that he thinks is in the light, right? It says, you need to turn. And the light's like, no, Captain, I'm sorry, we can't turn. He's like, no, you need to turn. We're the Navy. I need you to turn. And the light's working in the lighthouse. You have to turn. The universe is the lighthouse of our lives. Okay? It has the light. You can try to negotiate with it. You can bully it. You can whine and moan about it. You can complain, but you're not going to move that light. The only thing that's going to move is your boat. And sooner or realize, you're going to realize that you cannot force the lighthouse to move because we're the ones that have to do the move. Are you with me? Yes. So stop blaming the lighthouse and telling it to move. Stop yelling at the White House. Wow, that was like... Oh, no, you don't. Not today. I ain't doing it. Don't you drag me into that. You have to realize that you are up against the lighthouse. It does what it does because it is what it is. It requires you to do the navigating, just like we do here at the center. Everything we talk about it doing the past 3 weeks, we do here for you. That's our point. And all of you take that out into your lives, into the world. We've committed to doing that. It's committed to us, plain and simple. Plain and simple. I think we're done.